Vice President Kashim Shettima advocates increased private sector participation in healthcare provision.
Nigeria's Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, confirms 85 deaths from cerebrospinal meningitis across 22 states.
National Security Advisor condemns Boko's attacks.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine Naira for crude oil deal, and much later focus on Nigeria Police Day.
It will be recalled that the federal government commenced the sales of crude oil in Naira to the Dangote refinery on October 1st, 2024 to improve supply, save the country millions of dollars in petroleum products imports, and ultimately reduce the pump price of petroleum products in Nigeria.
However, by March 31, 2025, the NNPCL discontinued the Naira for crude deal with the Dangote refinery and other local refineries. NNPC explained that the contract for the sale of crude oil in Naira was structured as a 6-month agreement subject to availability.
NNPC recently stated that Dangote refinery had received 48 million barrels of crude oil in Naira under the deal.
Meanwhile, Petroleum Marketers Association is demanding period of the Naira for crude deal, while depot owners have condemned Naira for crude deal to local refineries, noting it will trigger capital flight.
That's true, Yere. For now, the Naira for crude oil deal with local refineries, including Dangote refinery, has stalled.
The halt has led to Dangote refinery and all the local refineries to raise their pump price. I'm sure you're feeling that already at the filling stations. Demola, are you?
Yeah, well, I mean, yesterday I went to buy petrol. And I remember 2 weeks ago, I bought for 860. Yesterday evening, I bought for 950 Naira.
Yeah, all right, may get higher. Better get ready. Meanwhile, Dangote refinery in a statement says price hike is temporary due to a mismatch between sales proceeds and crude oil purchase obligations.
Indeed, stakeholders raised alarm on protracted negotiations on the Naira for crude oil deal when its March 31st, 2025 initial 6 months deal was about to elapse. I am Ademola Adeoye. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
And I'm Henry John. It's a pleasure to have you join us again on Good Morning Nigeria. We're reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. This is Africa's largest TV network. Shortly in the course of the program, we'll bring you newspaper review. That's when Chukwudi Okoli Ogbaja joins us. But for now, we have the beautiful Mina Daniels ready to serve the morning news. I'm sure you want this. Mina, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Henry and Demola. Good morning. Here is the news. Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for increased private sector participation in the ongoing reforms in the health sector. The Vice President said this during the inauguration of Solomon Adebola Adegunwa Trauma Center in Sagamu, Ogun State, saying the health facility is a vital addition to the nation's emergency care infrastructure and a symbol of the government's dedication to saving lives. He commended the initiative, urging more philanthropists and corporate organizations to rise beyond personal achievement and invest in nation building.
For all, especially in moments of distress, when accidents strike, when time is short, and when the difference between life and death is determined by the speed and quality of emergency intervention. This is why this center is not just a brick and mortar institution. It is a lifeline. It is a symbol of preparedness in a nation that cares. It is a sanctuary where the wounded can find healing and where families in despair can find hope.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has confirmed 85 deaths from cerebrospinal meningitis across 22 states. The NCDC says it has therefore activated a national multi-sectoral emergency operations center to coordinate the country's response efforts. According to the NCDC's Week 12 report covering March 17th to 23rd, 2025, the worst-hit states include Yobe, Jigawa, Bauchi, and Zamfara, accounting for over 90% of confirmed cases. Speaking on the situation, Dr. Jide Idris, the NCDC Director General, emphasized the agency's commitment to tackling the outbreak, adding that since October 2023, 1,625 people have been infected, and efforts are underway to improve coordination, mobilize resources, and ensure a rapid data-driven response across all affected states. And to ensure that all involved in the construction of Lagos-Calabar Highway are on the same page as the project progresses, the Federal Ministry of Works has organized a follow-up town hall meeting in Lagos. The Minister of Works, companies, property owners, and communities along the coastal highway route ironed out contending issues.
This is investment, and this is commendable. And the third legacy project is the one that is coming from Calabar, going through my own state, through Enugu, through Benue, through Nasarawa, Kogi, Nasarawa, and Abuja.
National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu is urging people of Plateau State to coexist peacefully for meaningful development. This was while addressing newsmen in Jos on the recent attacks in Bokkos local government area.
Nigeria will continue to be grateful to the members of the armed forces and the security services. We are going through tough times, difficult times, but it's not going to be forever. The issue of security is for all of us, those who have been living together for years and decades. I think time has come for us to say enough is enough.
The Nigerian Police Force has expressed concern over reports that a group known as the Take It Back movement is planning a nationwide protest on Monday, April 7, 2025, coinciding with the National Police Day set aside by the federal government to celebrate the resilience, sacrifice, and dedication of officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force. While the NPF affirms its respect for the constitutional rights of citizens to peaceful assembly and expression, it views the timing of the protest as questionable, perceived as an attempt to undermine the event and tarnish the image of the Nigerian police and the nation. The force urges the organizers to reconsider the planned protest, advising all parties involved to explore lawful and constructive avenues of dialogue through the appropriate channels of government, rather than engage in actions that may disrupt national unity and celebration. And those are the news highlights. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Ademola and Ire after this timeout.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. Our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree. We sway in colors. We turn dark into light. We make solutions. We ignite passion. Yeah. Ethnicity is unique. We have one of the solutions. We are Nigeria. We are Nigeria. Strength in unity. We know they carry life.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
My name is Joy Odagi. One man just called me one day at my house, so I shocked. I said, my man said, na 419. How they go call me? Say, I register. I say, I register. He said, make I call my Mac. Say, make I call collect my, with NIN, make I call collect my ATM card. Call collect money. Now me I go with my husband. He said, na 419. I reach there, he say, real. They pay me my 75,000 naira. I use the money for my business, eat for inside. Teach one person how to make soap. To get the card, you need NIN.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
The sport is very, very important to the special kid needs. Engaging in this kind of activities, moving the wheelchair with the strength, is a form of exercise to reduce that stiffness of the muscle. It makes them to be self-dependent, not depending. We should believe that there is ability in their disabilities.
Sometimes great things are worth waiting for, and for those who crave and wait, the experience is truly memorable. Introducing the new Dano Evaporated Milk, a creamy, tasty, nourishing way to start your day.
Very creamy and delicious. Now that's worth the wait.
Try Dano Full Cream and Dano Cocoa Evaporated Milk and taste the Dano difference.
Peak Mini Bag fits your pocket, contains the right nourishment you need for your breakfast, creamy and tasty in your meal.
This Peak Mini is just my perfect size, filled with the right nutrients, just for me.
This Peak Mini dey sweet my belly. Who fit believe say me sef fit do shakara with better enjoyment?
Enjoyment. Now this kind of breakfast I want the top now.
Enjoy the Peak Mini Bag, breakfast for you.
Peak, reach for your peak.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next is Newspaper Review.
All right, we have a newspaper reviewer, Chukwudi Okoli Ogbaja, with us again this Monday, and it's good to see him. Chukwudi, good morning to you. How are you feeling? How was your weekend?
Actually, I feel more size than my government height. That tells me the amount of happiness in me. My weekend was good.
Great.
Don't I look fresh enough?
You do.
To suggest it.
You do. Honestly.
Hello, Demo.
Hi.
I like what you have there.
Thank you.
What you have on.
Thank you.
You always dress well. Morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's see what the papers are offering this morning. We'll begin with the Daily Times newspaper, and the Daily Times leads with Trump's tariffs that happens to be making headlines, across the world. Here we have a Kutsin Fatwa Mohammed Tariba X-ray duties recommend measures for Nigerian economy to navigate the tariffs, and that's on page 2. Looking away from that, below the picture story, we have harvest of kidnapping. Another 5 women abducted in Zamfara. Nigeria meeting demands for sustainable social development justice, and that's coming from Kalu. And this one says Ekiti said to employ doctors, nurses on National Assembly members' bill. All right, that's coming from Oyebound Joe. You want to get all the details of that and get it clearly. A copy of the Daily Times to do you good. In the red strip, we have PDP demands official expulsion of Wike from PDP. And that's on page 7. And just above the masthead, we have use your position to unite Nigerians. Speaker urges a laughing of Oyo. All right, so let's look away from the Daily Times now and see what the leadership has this morning. The leadership leads with World Health Day. Experts demand urgent reforms in health sector, and that's on page 4. Unpaid benefits, new Nigerian death toll hits 110. That's on page 16. Police withdraws Sanusi's invitation letter. That's on page 7. Of course, so much happening. You want to see all of that. 12 operators fault NACON over 2025 Hajj plans. All right, that's on page 6. Top Plateau killings, ACF tells federal government, and that's also on page 6. Above the masthead, Dangote Wike governors orders to receive awards. Shetima speaks on address fiscal federalism. And foreign airlines misplaced 4,353 passengers' baggage in 2024. That will be an interesting read. You want to see all of that. And of course, just to mention that the front page of the leadership has beautiful statistics on what the health sector looks like in Nigeria. You want to see all of that. The copy of the leadership will do you good. All right, Demola.
All right, thank you. I have the Vanguard newspaper with me here, and just above the nameplate, police withdraw invitation letter to Emir Sanusi. Details of that story can be found on page 8. Move Plateau attacks genocidal. Details on page 13. As can ACF, others condemn killings. Trump's tariff over 50 countries ready to negotiate. U.S. official. Details on page 9. And the major headline reads, Cybercrime Act, emergency rule protest, anxiety as police organizers differ. We are leading protest, TIB, Showore, demand repeal of Cybercrime Act, and many more. Details of that story can be found on page 5. Army captain, soldiers, cause of terrorists killed in Borno village. Details on page 9. Peazu, Guain, Shehu Sani, Omokri, others make ambassadors list. Details on page 36. No respite for textile industry as domestic market shrinks further. Details of that story can be found on page 22. Nigeria battles meningitis with 151 deaths, 1,826 suspected cases. Details on page 6. Lesserite Keyamo says aircraft recovery now seamless. Details on page 8. And PFL, Eyimba's top warriors in Oriental Derby. Now we'll move on to Daily Trust newspaper. And just below the nameplate, we have Lakurawa kills 13 vigilantes in Kebbi. Details of that story can be found on page 38. Same U.S. tariff imposition may disrupt Nigeria's non-oil exports, federal government says. Details can be found on page 28. World Health Day. Nigeria's high maternity child mortality rate spark calls for action. Details on page 31. Then the major headline, which is Take It Back movement insist on protest, demands reversal of Rivers emergency rule, alleges rights abuse, misuse of Cybercrime Act, police urge caution. Details on page 3 and page 4. Plateau killing, survivors recount ordeal, ACF urges end to attacks. Then we have Anambra governorship, Soludo, Ukachukwu, Mugalu get APGA, APC and LP ticket. Student dies in auto crash after dropping parents at airport. Details on page 220. And soldiers, Boko Haram terrorists killed in Borno village attacks. Details of that story can be found on page 6. Chooks.
No, life is so sadly unpredictable. a student dies after dropping off parents at airport. They must have said, expect us back in the next 2 weeks or whatever. And it's unfortunate. May God rest him in his bosom. Anyway, Trump's tariffs, the federal government is saying these may disrupt Nigeria's non-oil exports. It's not may. Definitely the tariffs.
It will.
It surely will. You know, somebody said the other time, this is a time for Nigeria and the rest of the world to reposition their economies away from the apron strings of the United States economy. When you allow one country to take 26% of nominal GDP, global GDP, that is too much. They can dictate to the rest of the world.
That's what they do now.
That's exactly what is happening. So I want us to see it as an opportunity for us to do what we can to get more share of global, commerce and trade and all that, so that we too can assert ourselves from time to time. Teriba, Fashua, and the rest could drop lines on how to get around the tariffs. But as it were, just as we've already indicated, global trade has taken a hit. Now Trump is saying that about 50 countries have reached out to him to negotiate. He's a deal maker. I see him as a street trader. So let's see what deals are going to be made. The thing with Trump, I'm one of those who feel that he really doesn't have an agenda for governance. He throws chaos out there, then begins to navigate whatever the chaos lays out. Let's say the landmines that can be, at the bottom of it is slight intimidation, bullying, and all that. It's his style. After the tariffs, watch out. Something else will happen. And so you will keep on experiencing it the whole of the 4 years, this man, whom I like his program a lot, Farid Zakaria, GPS, was saying yesterday, he was outlining graphically how the U.S. has been doing better since the Second World War, on and on and on. What he's saying is that Trump's insistence is based on lies, a tissue of lies, that the U.S. economy has actually been doing better and better. Look at Europe has been moaning and mourning, so to speak, how their economies have gone. The United States never complained. They've been there doing well. But Biden's administration has to be bastardized somehow. So Trump would always say the things he wants to say. It's really unfortunate, the kind of level of insecurity we're experiencing. The plateau killings are still, chilling to think about. And then look at what you read on the front page of the Daily Trust. Lakurawa kills 13 vigilantes in Kebbi.
In Kebbi, yeah.
And you ask.
And then kidnapping in Zamfara.
Yeah, that's kidnapping in Zamfara. You say this is supposed to be peacetime, but it sounds like a war situation. It's really unfortunate what men have decided to do to men. It's not the way to go. It's unfortunate. Now, Take It Back movement, they're insisting on their protest. It's within their right. The police is inside. I just know that I almost panicked that I would not be able to get to the office in time for newspaper review because the police cordoned off, the path leading into the Court of Appeal, Secretariat.
Today?
Finance. Oh, yes. It's a long chain. I didn't know we would make it, but thank God we're able to navigate. The most important thing is that if the protest is going on, let people be orderly. You have a right to protest. What you don't have a right to do is to cause, damage, cause disturbance to those who don't want to protest with you. You'll be going beyond your bounds if you say that because you're protesting, life should stop for every other person. They're also demanding reversal of reverse emergency rule. Well, I don't know. They are also free to mention that. The most important thing is that at the end of the day, we seem to agree that procedurally the president has followed, the process we expect him to follow. The lawmakers have eventually approved of his action. It is still debatable whether he should have sacked democratic institutions after imposing the state of emergency and all that. It will still go on. I was surprised for the first time. Goodluck Jonathan, who's like a dove, spoke up. It wasn't quite in sync with what government has done. But again, it is the marketplace of democracy. Let us exercise it to the fullest. Because at the end of the day, that's what tells us that we really have a situation where everyone can have a say, even though the majority are not going to have their way. That's the way I look at it. That's just it.
Divergent views.
Oh yeah, divergent views. That's it. Then Anambra governorship, that's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
People are saying that Soludo will still take it. Let's see how it goes.
The people will decide
The
at the
people,
polls.
the people will decide.
But that state has always been APGA. Right?
Yeah, it's always been APGA. But then you never know. There's no condition that is permanent in this world. Nyeri doesn't know the song we're singing. It's yes.
Okay.
So it goes on and on. Yeah, no
It goes
condition
on and on.
is permanent.
But especially if the governor has performed well, the people might just decide to
relatively
just
speaking,
return him.
Relatively speaking,
If he has done so
they
well.
say good things about Soludo on the aggregate, so to speak. And no situation would ever arise where everyone says it's done well. World Health Day, my dear.
How healthy is the health sector in Nigeria?
I was at National Hospital last week. I go there monthly, and the situation still remains one that does not make you very happy. Those people out there, they are overstretched. I told you my experience when I was complaining that my patient was not being well looked after. And the lady looked at me, "Sir, I've been here for the past 4 days. I've not gone home. I'm doing the job of 3 people now. The rest have jackbad." We have to do something about the health sector. And I keep on saying this. The way we have treated our judges, the way we have treated our magistrates and the rest of them, giving them things that would remove them from temptation and all that, the same way we should work on medical staff. Actually, over there, they think health first. Justice, ministries
Health
have been...
is wealth.
Health is wealth. Health is everything. Let us stop this journey out of Nigeria. It's a morbid exodus because it's leaving deaths behind. Let us do something about our hospitals. It's very important. It's going from concerning to the alarming. It's not right.
All right, thank you very much, Chooks. The director is telling us that don't watch the clock, do what it does. That is, keep going.
I should do what the clock does, Abi. Now they find me trouble for this program.
Thank you, Chooks. We'll take a break now, and the conversation will continue after the break. Stay with us.
The sport is very, very important to the special kid needs. Engaging in this kind of activities, moving the wheelchair with the strength, is a form of exercise to reduce that stiffness of the muscle. It makes them to be self-dependent, not depending. We should believe that there is ability in their disabilities.
The Nigerian national flag represents our country's history, culture, and identity. It was designed in 1959. The colors are Emerald Green 2.0, which represents agriculture, and Immaculate White represents unity and peace. Know how to handle our flag. Illuminate the environment or don't fly the flag overnight. Do not fly a dirty or tattered flag. Take such flag to the nearest National Orientation Agency office for proper disposal and replacement. The national flag can only be flown at half-mast on the directive of the federal government. The national flag must be flown at the same or higher height when displayed alongside other flags. Don't burn or allow the national flag to fall on the ground. Do not print, decorate, modify, or insert the coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during interment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Our major currency unit is the Naira, while the minor unit is the Kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the Naira.
Nigeria is perched on the treasure trove of solid minerals. Gold, coal, tantalum, tin, but none is more critical to our future or the world's future like lithium.
Let's talk about illegal mining operations. What is our strategy?
Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Just before we bring in our guest for our discussion on Naira for crude deal, let's take this background report by Ibrahim Bello Gunda.
It may be recalled that the Federal Executive Council approved the Naira for Crude initiative, in which local refineries will be supplied crude oil in Naira rather than in US dollars, with the aim of stabilizing petroleum product prices and the dollar-Naira exchange rate. The crude oil in Naira to Dangote and other local refineries aims to improve supply, save the country millions of dollars in petroleum product import, and ultimately reduce the pump prices of petroleum products. The first phase of the 6-month deal, which started October 2024, ended Monday, March 31st, 2025, with the deal's extension or complete halt still being discussed by parties involved. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has clarified the end of the Naira for crude arrangement with local refineries, disclosing that it supplied the Dangote refinery with 84 million barrels of crude oil since it began operations. However, the committee responsible for the negotiation is yet to resolve on the matter and come up with a new deal, leading to increase in pump prices of refined petroleum products across the country from about 860 naira per litre to over 930 naira per litre within 1 week. Independent petrol marketers also projected further hike in petrol price, saying costs may hit 1,000 naira per litre in weeks if nothing is done about the Naira for crude deal that earlier helped in checking the rise in petrol prices. NNPCL's Chief Corporate Communication Officer, Olufemi Soneye, in a statement, explained that the initial deal was for 6 months and that discussion for renewal of the agreement were currently ongoing with the aim of establishing a new contract. What is the prospect of the Naira for crude initiative? How effective has the initiative been? And what are the implications of suspending the initiative? These and more will form part of questions guests on Good Morning Nigeria will find answers to on the program.
Many thanks, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, for the background report. Now time to get into the conversation proper, which is on Naira for crude deal. Seated with us right here in the studio is Dr. Tim Okon, the Managing Partner and CEO, Techno Energy, and former Executive Director, Corporate Planning and Strategy, NNPC. Many thanks for joining us, Dr. Okon.
Thank you for having me. Also joining us from our Port Harcourt studio is Billy Gillies Harry. He is the National President, Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron. Billy Gillies Harry, welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, Nigeria.
you. Also joining us via Zoom from Lagos is Olabode Showumi. Olabode Showumi is energy expert and public affairs analyst. Showumi, you're welcome. It's a good morning.
Good morning, Nigerians. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining us. And just, you know, as a way of kickstarting this conversation, I'd like to get your impression, Dr. Okon. You know, first and foremost, before we talk about the halt and, you know, what's going on at the moment, what's your view about the Naira for crude deal? I mean, in the first instance, when it was announced.
Okay, I think Nigerians have shown a lot of interest, obviously, in many of these commercial transactions that actually was envisaged in the PIA. So I'm going to rely on the authorities of the law. So Section 109, subsection 1 describes the domestic supply obligation under which this Naira for crude exchange is covered. So Section 1 of that, subsection 1 of the 109 states specifically that this must be done on a willing buyer and a willing supplier basis. Okay, so it's just another commercial transaction that is available to lessees of those who hold leases in the upstream and those who hold refinery licenses. So Section 2 now goes on to say that the Commission needs to prescribe a regulation or guideline. Section 3 now says the authority will from time to time advise the Commission where there is the demand requirement for all the refineries, okay? And that where there is a shortage, etc., also inform the Commission that there is an issue or a problem. Section 4 is actually where you have the, subsection 4 is where you have the Naira exchange. But even before that, it also asserts that, one, it's a commercial transaction. It is, this is available to those who are holders of refinery licenses. In other words, I can't go down and say I'm buying crude, okay? Secondly, of course, it talks about the basis for which those transactions will be done. Again, it repeats, it's a willing buy, it's a commercial arrangement. And thirdly, and more importantly, it says that you must have a payment guarantee for you as a refiner, a license holder, must enter into an agreement, okay, with a payment guarantee mechanism in place so that you can get the crude. And that's where it does state that when you get this can be done, again, on a commercial basis based on international benchmark prices. Either you pay for the crude in US dollar or in Naira, as the parties will agree. So it is an agreement among commercial entities. That's what is envisaged in the whole. So if NNPC and the refineries, etc., have an agreement, they can conduct business in that wise. If they don't have an agreement, then either party can do what it desires to do with its crude. So again, we must be very careful about understanding this business, because Section 205 is clear as to the pricing of petroleum products.
Okay.
Those prices are not supposed to be constrained, Section 205. Except there is things like price gouging, which 207 also deals with. These are all provisions of the law. So it is not possible for anyone to dictate prices based on that Section 205.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Okon, for your opening view there regarding this Naira for crude oil deal. Now let's get to Port Harcourt studio, where we have Billy Gillis Harry, who is the national president, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets. Just like Dr. Okon said, that this is a commercial transaction. Let's get your view on these Naira for crude oil deal. What is the view of your association, especially because we gathered that some of the association in the sector have a different view concerning what government is doing? Can you just let's have your perspective on this issue?
Well, with the background that has already been laid by my good brother and friend, Dr. Tame, it's very clear, that what Petron advocated for was already enshrined in the PIA. Petron was very supportive and advocated very strongly that the Naira for crude should be activated. And we were very, very glad when the president and his economic team saw it fit to promote and ensure that that policy became active. However, the underlying factors are clear, that it must be a purely commercial transaction with little or no, government influence. But how will we take off NNPC's business decisions from what the government's policy position will be? It's almost like it's not going to happen. So I think, or we think, that the policy was good, it was beneficial to the system, it helped to ensure that it eased the pressure on the Naira. Our foreign exchange requirements were, drastically reduced to enable us to build up our foreign reserves. So we think this was a good, deal, and we still believe, that it's a good thing for the government to look at it from that perspective, so that all the refineries in Nigeria, the large, the small, the medium, all of them can be able to access feedstock for refining in country and be able to pay in Nigerian Naira, which will also empower our Nigerian Naira very, very greatly. So that's our opinion, that it was a good one, and whatever that is delaying the conclusions of the discussions should be fast-tracked off the road, and we should be able to see a good decision being made by NNPC and all the refineries that are doing so in Nigeria.
Thanks, Mr. Harry, for your opening comments, as regards to this conversation this morning, and good morning, Nigeria. And we'll just return here in the studio, and joining us now for the conversation is Yushua Aliyu. He's an economist. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. I would, go to Lagos, where Olabode Shomi joins us as an energy expert and public affairs analyst, before we get back to Yushua to hear his comments about the Naira for crude deal. So, Mr. Shomi, the two guests that have spoken so far, think that the Naira for crude deal is a good one. But, many people disagree. They think that, crude, being traded across the world, should be sold in a particular, denomination. I want to hear, what are your thoughts about the deal in the first instance?
Okay, thank you. When people disagree, or whatever opinion that people have, are premised on certain understanding that we look at, which may be different from the legal aspects, which Dr. Tim Okon had laid, or some of the commercial aspects, which Bill Gilliaris has also explained. I think fundamentally, there is also a political aspect to the whole scenario because of the influence of Dangote, the Dangote refinery, and those that are related there. But it should be understood that irrespective of the considerations, whether it be political, whether it be purely legal, whether it be economic, what must matter most is the ultimate interest of Nigerians. And what will be the interest of Nigerians? Those are the things that we should be looking at. And in simple terms, if Dangote were to continue to source dollars from the local economy, they are going to put pressure, significant pressure, on the dollar that is available in the economy. What that means is that the current exchange rate of the naira to the dollar is going to fluctuate. And if that fluctuates, it's going to impact our capacity. I mean, it's going to impact economic indices, which means there could be inflation, which means import duties will go high, which means unstable economy. So those are the things. I mean, those things are obvious for themselves. Whether that is the ultimate interest of Nigerians, I mean, obvious for anyone to be the judge of. Now, we also understand that we may not know all the parameters that are currently at play in terms of them finally deciding. So that will be with the federal government and with the parties on the table, with Dangote Refinery and the remainder of the refineries. But in the interest of all and in the interest of the information that is available for discussions, I think everybody's thinking is a positive one for the decision that the naira for crude should resume. I mean, those will be my opening comments on this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shomi, for that, your opening comments. Everybody believes that the naira for crude oil should continue. Okay, let's bring in Yushao here. You're an economist, and the other guests have talked about, you know, the law aspect of it, the economic aspect of it, and also the impact that it will have on Nigeria generally. So let's have your view on this. What do you think will be the impact of this on the economy, and especially how do you think it will affect the country's physical stability?
Yeah, we just have to look back a little and understand the parameters that even brought naira for crude in the first instance. One is the general sacrifice of Nigerians for subsidy to go after many years. And that sacrifice has to do with certain economic decisions which will probably stabilize the supply, stabilize prices, and at the same time put efficiency. PIA has come to stay. Mm-hmm. And if PIA has come to stay, Nigeria was out of the world map, the refining capacity. That's the first things to remember. Before Dangote, Nigeria was out of that. But with Dangote refinery, 650,000 capacity, Nigeria is the 7th in the world today. But what even preempt naira for crude? It is the same NNPC Limited that first auctioned crude oils to sustain the challenges in foreign exchange market by acquiring some facilities from the World Bank. So if that is done with good intention in the first instance, then definitely the best way to resolve the issue, instead of going into financial markets to source for funds to stabilize foreign exchange, why not use the available resources that we have? Because one thing has to be clear, especially once we intend to emphasize on law and then emphasize on commercialization by looking at the operational modalities on sister countries. OPEC, as a body, is responsible for supplying 80% of crude oil to the world market. Okay. Nigeria is a strong member with a very strong oil reserve, and with a very large population, and also losing so much of resources to import PMS when we have the capacity to refine. But if you are to stabilize supply, then definitely you have to encourage production. Encouraging production has to do with, first of all, having a hand in what Dangote is going to produce. Because when Dangote was sourcing resources to put the refinery in shape, he was outside the shores of Nigeria to get those funds. And if we allow him also to go outside the source, outside Nigeria to procure crude oil, then it means we cannot guarantee supplies. And once that happens, even democracy will be at stake, because there is an extent Nigerians can go in respect to the multiplier implications of the PMS pricing in Nigeria. So Naira for crude is a good initiative, but we have to change model. 6 months to try, we need to put a short-run perspective, probably 365 days. And then also to look at other options to put supply in order. If Kaduna Refinery is operating, Port Harcourt is operating, probably Warri is also operating, then there may not be necessarily the need for crude for Naira to Dangote, because NNPCL has productive ventures which obviously cannot go out of Nigeria to import, but has to use what is produced in Nigeria for Nigerians. So in my own opinion, of course, we are beginning to see stability. We are in the supply of PMS and also stability in Forex. Then we don't have to cause additional instability by opting out from the deal, particularly that Nigerians' purchasing power, Nigerians' desire to pay for the price, Nigerians' desire to have structural changes and reform, including tax reform, and the ultimate, to have efficiency in the industry. So for that efficiency, we are expecting at least a temporary measures. Saudi Arabia has an option, for instance, with 5 refineries, have decided to produce 4 million liters per day. And there is no way, if Nigeria with less than 60 million population can have an efficiency to produce above 4 million liters, 4 million barrels, to refine 4 million barrels per day. So Nigeria should have that efficiency to continue to sustain at least 450,000 at the first instance, and in the second stage to begin to see additional output from other refineries.
All right, many thanks, usually it looks like everyone is in support of the Naira for crude deal. But quoting those who are against this deal, Dr. Okon, I'm coming to you now. They say that the current arrangement, what played out, before it was halted, would appear to be like a reintroduction of fuel subsidy, because it would entrench monopoly and also discourage, competition among refiners. These are some of the views by those who think that, well, this Naira for crude deal shouldn't have started in the first place. But I'd like you to react to some of these comments.
Okay. When you talk about crude pricing, you need to recognize what we call import parity price versus export parity price. Okay. When Nigeria depended solely on importing fuel, fuel was priced mainly on the basis of import parity. In other words, you buy the crude from refineries, say in Rotterdam or wherever, you have to transport it to Nigeria. So when it lands here, the cost of that will apply. So essentially, it's on an import parity basis. An export parity basis where you have your own domestic domestic refining is simply this. Somebody now comes to buy the crude from you. So they will deduct the cost of the freight, etc. And that is export parity pricing. So the delta, or the difference between the two, is really that freight cost, etc. Now, I'm not holding brief for Dangote and the way he runs his business, but I'm just trying to let people understand that on an export parity basis, the crude, the refined products will be cheaper for Nigerians. So on a broad economic basis, that is what you are getting now when Dangote was getting the crude for, the Naira crude in Naira. But remember, it did not cover all of his production because he supplemented that with importation. So again, you need to recognize that he was not receiving from NNPC, 650,000 barrels of oil a day. I think the contract was for about 100,000 barrels a day, something of that nature. But I stand corrected if I'm not quoting the correct number there.
Okay.
But the main thing is that I can buy crude from abroad. Dangote refinery is a complex refinery. What does that mean? It can produce different slates of products with different types of crude. Okay, so you can get cheaper crude, and he has machines to run those crudes through those machines and still deliver PMS at a competitive price, because it's a complex refinery. It's programmed that way. So on an export parity basis, he can be competitive. And even if he imports crude, the complex refinery he has enables him to deliver PMS. And I don't see any particular issue with the sourcing of crude, because the crude he was getting in Naira was not the supply was getting from that source was not overwhelmingly covers the demand that the refinery has. And my final point would be, it is important for that refinery to also export, because Nigeria is does not consume all the diesel that he produces, so he can export the diesel. The jet kero, etc., he can export it. And of course, by exporting, you'll be paid in dollar or whatever currency he would choose to have.
So don't you think
we need to have exports of petroleum products, just as we need to have exports in so many other things, in farm products, as where you are earning. So let me give you an example. China in 2024 exported $1 trillion worth of goods, the largest in the world. That is the target we must do. Yes, the domestic market is important, but so also, the market outside this country. So we need to look at that in a balanced sort of way, because if we all end up earning Naira, where will you get money to service the foreign debt, the reserve-based lending, and so on and so forth? So those are important issues to deal with. Yeah.
If you say that the refinery, Dangote refinery, needs to export and all of that, some say that that's like empowering one person. Instead, the views, like I said, of those who are against the Naira for crude, would say that it is better to increase licensing, improve infrastructure, improve infrastructure, and create room for more players to participate in the sector, instead of one person, being.
Please disabuse your mind on this one. When someone was investing, is it 19 or 20 billion dollars, it did not stop anyone from committing the same resources. The state is after market efficiency. The state should defend people who who take risks, okay, and need to be rewarded for the risks that they have taken. On the other hand, the domestic supply obligations and all these other things are to protect the consumer. So there is a balance between consumer protection. And if you go to the PIA, the laws are very, very clear. And I often say to people, you must read the law with regards to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act. That's existing law, okay? And PIA is one of those laws that accords the right of review by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act. That is in the law as it is. So if there is a monopoly situation being established, okay, or a situation anti-competitive behavior, that can be dealt with by the provisions of the law. But Nigeria needs champions. You need to have companies that can pull other companies up. Just imagine what China has done in 30 years. If we had done that, we wouldn't be in this situation. So again, we need people who can do. That's right. So again, I am not representing any refinery here per se. And there are others who are picking up the gauntlet. I know that there's a Bua refinery that is being anticipated in this. Okay, that's right. That's the way the free market system works. You see, the potential is located the refinery where we wouldn't be talking about supply because you be connecting it to, I think, Kwaibo terminal and all that. That's the way the market works. Of course, Dangote has a dominance in the cement industry, but you've had others now. Cement plants have sprung up, and others are doing likewise. So I think once you have a strong consumer protection or anti-monopoly entity that looks after this thing, we must allow the market to function at least. But when you say increasing the licenses, well, if the current people who have licenses, I think there was a time when they were complaining that that the price Dangote was charging was undermining them. So you can't eat your cake and have it. When you import, you are employing people outside Nigeria. When you produce here, you're employing people within Nigeria.
It's a free economy.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Okon. Now let's go to Port Harcourt studio where we have Billy Harry. And I just want to find out from you, Billy, what your association thinks that are the key challenges concerning the key challenges in this implementation of this Naira for crude oil, and the need to address, and how do we address them in implementing this Naira for crude oil deal? What are the key challenges?
Thanks a lot. This is a very interesting and obviously very important conversation for Nigeria and Nigerians. Petron's view are very clear on this issue. We advocate for availability of products, availability of refined products to ensure that our energy security is guaranteed. We also advocate for affordability so that Nigerians could be able to buy from our retail outlets without any stress. In doing all that, there should be a balance. Yes, I do agree, that no company should be a monopoly of any sort, but we also have to stand up to the test by ensuring that we provide alternative sources at all times. And this is why we think that the Naira for crude should be reviewed. In fact, we had presented in our last meeting, that we should encourage the federal government, that's the Honorable Minister of Petroleum Oil, to institute a full review of the performance of the first 6 months pilot of the Naira for crude. So that way we could be able to have a clearly defined activities that had happened, so we can actually evaluate how this has benefited us as a country. And if that is done, I think that it will help in making the decisions that is on the hands of the committee that's headed by the FRS chairman to fast track and advance the process. And we will continue to expect, that the final decisions will be productive for Nigeria. Because at the end of the day, it is Nigerians that should benefit from any policy. And this benefit should be in terms of availability of product. And I don't think that the Naira for crude was only meant for one refinery. It was for all the refineries, including the NNPC refineries. So it should be something that should be deeply reviewed and made to stay. So in our opinion, political considerations, as important as it is in this situation, because we're talking about oil, which is the national economy. The national economy is premised and based on the proceeds of oil. We need to reduce the size and influence of political decisions in it and be very practical, look at the commercial values, and be able to give access to every refiner in the country to be able to operate at the same level. Yes, some refineries will be bigger than others, but let everybody breathe and let the value chain work. Let refiners refine. Let importers import. Let storage facility owners continue to keep their storages and their tank farms effectively managed. And let logistic companies that are doing both marine and land transportation be focused on that. And let marketers market the product efficiently. And let us retail outlet owners who are the last mile in the value chain do our best, and our businesses will be efficient in delivering petroleum product to Nigerians. This is our covenant, and we hope to keep it in as much as we can.
All right. Many thanks for your comments there, Billy, Harry. But I'd like to find out, why is the Petroleum Marketers Association asking for a probe of the Naira for crude deal?
Sorry, what did you say?
Okay, yeah, there's a report that Petroleum Marketers, that's your association, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, are asking that, for the first phase, which was from October, the 6 months deal should be probed. Why is that call being made?
Well, you're all media people, and you employ different kinds of words in describing what we ordinary business people understand. I've just repeated the same thing. What we have said is that there should be a review on the content of what has been done in the last 6 months. So that gives a clarity as to how both the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Petroleum and NNPC and all the refineries that are involved in this Naira for crude discussion will advance. If we do not have a clearly reviewed, clearly a deeply, I would say, a deep review of what has happened from the decisions, the performance, and how we have fared, it will be difficult for us to be able to understand how the next 1 year, for instance, will look like. So that's what we meant. We didn't say that it should be probed. We should just only be reviewed so that we can have understanding of what has happened. And I hope this clears that clearly. Thank you.
I'd like to use your word. You say it's a review of what's transpired in the last 6 months when the deal was on. I mean, do the marketers perceive some kind of lack of transparency or clarity in the whole deal? I'm also asking that because the depot owners are calling for a complete halt. They have condemned the Naira for crude deal.
Well, every organization, I believe, has a clearly defined goal in how they represent their membership. Petron is looking out to make sure that there is petroleum product available, and so we do support all of the sources where petroleum product will be made available. And we want the petroleum product to be available in right quality and also in right pricing for Nigeria's pockets. So we will not be able to speak for other organizations, but we can only speak for our organization that is looking at the possibilities of ensuring that we have refined petroleum product in country and have it abundantly, such that we should be able to start exporting, become an export hub, for refined product, at least to West Africa or even the African continent. So that which will certainly increase our foreign exchange earning. And so our position is that the deal should be reviewed, and when it is reviewed, the realities of what has transpired will come out. And of course, if you have gone to do any kind of project, there should be a time to review what you have done. And that's what Petron has advocated for. So we do not suspect that there's any wrongdoing. Yes, of course, communication-wise, we are encouraging NNPC to be much more transparent in their communication, because that way Nigerians will gain the trust of Nigerians, as it should be, being that this is a company that's owned by the whole country. And we need to keep faith with believing in what we have. For crying out loud, NNPC is the largest company in the continent of Africa. And when you look at the size and the power of NNPC, we should have a continental powerhouse in NNPC that should help in making sure that Nigeria's economic goals are achieved. And so it's important for consistent transparency in every aspect of the information that comes out there.
Very much, Mr. Harry, for stating the position of your association, and that you're calling for a review of the performance of the deal so far. Now let's bring in Mr. Shomi to this conversation again, who is an energy expert. The issue of transparency and accountability actually in the implementation of this deal is one of the key challenges. So how do you think this issue can be resolved, can be addressed?
Well, when we come to things like transparency, it's just basic. I think one of the complaints about those who have not been able to properly to review, so to speak, the terms of the contract is because it's not made available. So maybe there may be a need in terms of the realities of the times for the whole deal, the whole contract to be made available, within which people can analyze how much it is of benefit to Nigerians. I think that is that on one side. But you see, on the whole, so that we don't just go about this, this deal is nice, this deal is not nice and all that. It's basic to just look at the fundamentals of it, how it affects the economy and how it affects Nigerians. There is no doubt that the deal has a very strong input in the stability of the Naira, at least at the moment, given the fragile nature of the economy. That is a fact. There's also no doubt that the fact that some parts of the deal are not made public is calling for speculation, and as a result, people are thinking that that ought not to be. That's also a fact. The third thing is that on the long run, it is not likely to be sustainable. So this is basically a stopgap to mitigate the circumstances that we are in at the moment. The implication of that is that whoever is going to decide, it is a judgment call. So it's a decision that they are going to make based on the things that are, based on the factors that are at play. And these three factors that I mentioned are critical factors. So if the economy is important, if the fragility in terms of the stability of the economy is a consideration, if the Naira for stability against inflation is a consideration, then the judgment to be made on the matter is there for everyone to see. So I believe that irrespective of whichever view you look at it, whether it is positive, whether it is negative, we all have a right to our opinion, which is a fundamental human right, by the way. And people should just try and make the best decision for everyone so that we can move on to more salient matters in terms of the industry. Thank you.
Mr. Shomi, I'd like to stay with you. In your comments, you said the deal is not sustainable. It's just to deal with, the current, crisis in the economy at the moment. So if you were to give a recommendation, how long do you think this deal should last? If you come back on stream, I mean, it's been halted at the moment. Now, if there's a renegotiation and it comes back, on stream, for how long would you think that it should last and, probably be halted permanently?
So it will be difficult for me to place a figure in terms of numerical months on that. And it's for a number of reasons. There are a lot of parameters that one will use to judge that I'm not privy to, in terms of certain figures that are economic related, certain figures in terms of how long it will take for even the refiners themselves to get stable. Those figures I'm not privy to. And as long as I'm not privy to it, I'll just be making a guess, a blind guess. And I wouldn't want to do that. So there are certain information, there's data that needs to be available. And it's the synthesis of that data that will lead us to arriving at a decision that will be in the ultimate interest of Nigerians and in the ultimate interest of Nigeria. What I've just pinpointed is that in terms of sustainable economic processes and sustainable economic practices, on the long run, not the short term, not even maybe the medium term, but on the long run, it is not a sustainable business model. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shomi. Let's come back to the studio. Ishao, let's look at what the deal will, how it will affect Nigeria's reliance on dollar-denominated transactions. You as an economist, and what implications it might have trade balance?
Of course, it is important to realize that the short-run measures adopted by NNPCL and the call for review are the first thing to be done to achieve either to check the excesses. In my own, the first thing, I quite agree with the submission of reviewing the performance of the deal, but in doing so, also we should not bring political actors, business predators into analyzing this report. It is the magnanimity of the president. Therefore, there should be an independent report from the Dangote refinery to the president, and there should be a report also from the NNPC to the president. And if that is achieved, then definitely at that point, the president can put expert and understand the reality on ground for that purpose. But now, looking at sustainability of this or not, it's a short-run measure, and it must be because we are seeing the result. Like I said, Nigeria is supposed not to be should not be out of Walmart in refining capacity, and calling for more licenses is not a good. You can't just call. The oil industry is an industry where experts are looking at how, when to invest. Saudi Arabia, despite the capacity of refining, is investing in Bangladesh, is investing in India. So there's nothing wrong when we are dealing with this industry because of the PIE and because we want Nigerians to continue to sustain the benefit, to bring more professionals refining actors into this realm. Sometimes society is being misguided that this product in 10, 20 years will vanish, will not be relevant. It's just an attempt to discourage investment. We should just focus on investment because multiple benefits are coming out of it. The production of Dangote may directly be different from the proficiency of NNPCL Warri Refinery. So what I'm thinking is, of course, today there is little stability in the forex, there is stability in the supply, and we want this deal to continue temporarily to augment the imbalances that occurs periodically. Because once you eliminate and you begin to have stability in the forex, prices will be stable, production will be stable, investment will be more interested.
So how long should it last?
Short-run measure, it depends on lifespan of refining capacity of Dangote. Because once you allow Dangote to be out of Naira for crude, then definitely you are bringing dangers to Nigerian economy. Because Dangote as an investor has potential market. The first jet fuel that he produces was shifted to Saudi Arabia. So what next if other investors begin to have an interest? So in my own opinion, let us have a change of model. 6 months is too short.
Okay, so what should be the time duration?
At least, like I said in the beginning, if we are entering into engagement now, let this be for 365 days.
1 year.
1 year. And that 1 year, we now check the capacity, we check the efficiency, and we also check the lapses. Because in every policy, there must exist some lapses. Some would like to take advantage, especially now that the NNPCL is having new leadership. This new leadership, they need more time to stabilize and also to understand how best Nigerians can benefit from this. And one question that remains fundamental, especially to the president, a single fact. President is elected for the period of 4 years. 2 years is down the line. Politicians will take advantage of all this. Do you understand? So there is need for Mr. President to put more conscious into what NNPCL and Dangote are dealing with pricing.
So you're emphasizing political consideration in this matter.
Exactly.
Okay. Many thanks, usually you know, talking about the NNPCL leadership, I'm sure Dr. Okun, can speak to us about that. But, listening to quite a number of experts talk about, the kind of people that have been, put in the position of NNPCL. Some say it's a square peg in a square hole, and that they understand, what should come to play. But maybe you share your thoughts on that. But, speaking about, the benefits of this Naira for crude, you already talked about the fact that we need to support Dangote Refinery being our own and look forward to how it can begin to export. I've been following the petroleum marketers. They're also asking that, fuel importation windows should be left open. I mean, despite the fact that we have Dangote Refinery, instead of empowering it to be able to produce, up to capacity and all that Nigeria would need and eventually export, they're also asking that, well, we should continue to import.
Importation is being banned. Go to Section 317. Again, I like to deal with legal matters because I know the provisions of the law, So, I mean, I don't want to be waving my hands in the air. The law provides for that if the domestic demand is not being met, then, of course, entities shall be, through licensing, be allowed to import petroleum products.
Shouldn't we push for domestic production to be enough, and exportation should be made possible, like you have mentioned?
That's okay. My understanding of the 650 capacity that exists now in the Dangote refinery, which is, again, I stress, is a complex refinery. What that means is that It has all the value-added units. It can have change its product slate, okay? It can also change the sources of the crude, etc., to deliver certain. So it's a complex refinery for a good reason, all right? So they know how to optimize refinery optimization. This is technical stuff, and I don't want to bore people with it. But you need to understand that some of the value-adding units in this new refinery are much more modern than some of the units that existed in the older refineries, etc. But here is the point. I think the market would determine just how much of the domestic obligation will now apply, in which case there is a market for the products. And you need to understand that 85% of the price of refined products is the price of crude. Okay? Now, I think last week there was a dramatic drop in Brent of $10 or something like that. So the refinery cycle is changing, because if price of crude goes down, okay, refinery margins go higher. So you need to now see a refinery like Dangote, and I keep mentioning it because it is the largest. It's a market disruptor. It's disrupting the market in Europe. Yes, that's what it is. So for once, Nigeria is able to do something that you are disrupting the market for importation, because some of those refineries are not they are not as competitive as they were, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa region. So we need to, that optimization process is what needs to take place, and leave it to the market. It would sort itself out. I've given you the framework of the law allows for all of these things that we are talking about. So the market itself, because if someone is importing and it is 1,100 and Dangote is selling for 900 or whatever it is the price, you would make your choice. When you go to this petrol station and it's this price, people move to the, that's choice. The second point I want to make about market segregation is an important one. I hope that the market will improve with the possibility of having not all premium crude, premium products rather, that is sold here. If you go abroad, you will find regular, right?
Okay.
Yes, that's right. Regular, and you have premium. Okay? If I have an old Camry, I can take the regular, nothing happens. But if I'm driving a BMW with all the specs and things like that, I may need premium. That is choice. And we are going to approach that stage in which, when you have other refineries working, all right, they may position in that market segment. So it is not everybody that would can afford 1,200 naira to buy a liter of PMS. It may be lower. So that is where we are heading for. And let us not be over prescriptive, especially when you don't understand the future of the market price of crude, etc. That's why I pointed out that Brent dropped by $10 or something like that. So they have to deal with it, and optimization, market segmentation, and so on and so forth will take place. But it's a significant event. I'm happy that we have the luxury of now saying that it's available, but we are debating whether the price can be lower or there was a time when we were queuing. That's right. Yeah. So this is a market changer. There is something, and the disruption that is taking place should be allowed to continue to take place, because the disruption is actually in Europe.
So it's the market forces that determines.
That's right. And they will reach an optimized state where Dangote can deliver to the domestic and also deliver to the
Would you say,
export market.
Dr. Okon, would you say that there is need for changes in the regulatory, in the policy or regulatory changes? Do you think there is a need for a change so that it will help for the proper implementation of this deal?
There is adequate provision. I went through the law. Okay. The law talks about willing buyer, willing seller. That is subsection 1 of 109.
Yeah.
Then the second subsection permits the commission to set regulations or guidelines. Okay? Then the third section says the authority can examine what is taking place in the market, whether they have crude, the refineries have crude, and report to the commission. It is section 4 now that says, does the specifics, which is that the commission is entitled to ensure that whatever mechanism it recommends, it must contain A, B, C. The C is where it talks about Naira transactions, that those transactions have to take place, but there has to be agreement between the parties.
Well,
and
Dr. Okon, we're sorry, we just have to cut you there because we have another topic for conversation. But let's just have a parting shot from our guest, Billy Harris in Port Harcourt studio. Your last, word in just 30 seconds, because we need to go round up this conversation now.
This issue about Naira for crude is a very critical conversation that affects Nigerians and Nigeria's daily life. From our perspective, we think that it should be effectively reviewed, and if there is a need to continue, it should be done in such a way that there is transparency, Nigerians understand what's going on, and the refineries that will benefit should do so to the benefit of Nigerians, not against them.
Mr. Harry, for your contribution this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Now, let's go to Zoom. Zoom guest, Olabode Showunmi, energy expert. Just in 30 seconds as well. Your parting shot.
I think for me, it's not so much as to what decision should be made, but as a clarion call to Nigerians. We owe it to ourselves to become more knowledgeable about facts on these issues so that we can put the right pressure, critical mass of pressure in the right areas, rather than being people who complain out of ignorance and have expectations that are not born in reality. So for me, what will be most important is for Nigerians to be more knowledgeable, to stick with facts, and thereby making the decision-making and the governance process easier and better for everyone. Those would be my views on there. Those would be my parting shots, as you put it.
Mr. Showunmi, a very valid, comment there. But talking about more knowledge, if there's little or no information out there, how do you get knowledge? Are you sure, Aliyu? Final words.
My final word has to go to the NNPCL. We believe in them, we believe in their leadership, and we want their efficiency. All
right, find a way to leave the conversation. Many thanks, Dr. Tim Okon, Managing Partner, CEO, Techno Energy, and former Executive Director, Corporate Planning and Strategy, NNPC. It was a pleasure to have you, and good morning, Nigeria. All right, of course, usually you an economist. It was a delight to have you. Thank you for joining us again today. And Billy Gillis Harry, National President, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much, for being our guest. We do sincerely appreciate your insights on the program today. Of course, Mr. Olabode Showunmi, energy expert and public affairs analyst. Thank you. Nigerians will continue to seek knowledge, but we need more information out there. So if you have it, share it. All right, so that's Good Morning, Nigeria. Our first conversation. We have a second conversation, and it's on the Nigerian police. You want to see this one. Stay with us.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths Let's build our nation together.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
Many thanks for remaining with us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Second conversation is on the Nigeria Police Day 2025, and the Nigeria Police is actually hosting the maiden edition of the National Police Day today at the Eagle Square, Abuja.
Yeah, it is a day to honor the resilience, sacrifice, and dedication of our surviving police officers and fallen heroes. It will also celebrate those who stand in the line of duty to protect and serve.
The activities to mark the National Police Day today started with clean up exercise, where we saw the policemen with brooms and not guns. It was interesting to see. And of course, we saw the community service, that aligns with this year's theme, which is Say No to Crime, which emphasized collective efforts in addressing issues, and of course looking at ways to ensure effective operations of the police in fighting crime and criminality.
Well, and to discuss this issue, we have seated already in the studio for the conversation National Police Day is AIG Wilson Inalegu, retired. AIG, you're welcome.
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
We can't see your own broom. Where's your broom?
I already told her that.
I mean, we can ask our cleaners to go on a break, for 2 days and get the police come do it for us.
Yes, yeah, I'm police very willing because all they do is integrating with the community.
Yeah.
And if that is one way,
tell us about this National Police Day. Can you just tell us what it is all about?
I think it's about bringing to the mainstream police activities and what the public, how the police can engage the public very meaningfully, and then talking about police transformation, which is one of the cardinal programs of this present administration. That is getting a police force that is professional and accountable, and then paying tributes, like you observe, you stated in your opening remarks, about recognizing the sacrifices of police officers, the courage they exhibit in dealing with the issues of crime. And you see the two police forces, the Southern Protectorate and Northern Protectorate, came together in April 1930. And I think this is April 1930.
Okay.
When the Southern and Northern Police Protectorate came together to form the Nigeria Police Force. I think this is the first time we're having a national police day. And I think it's a very important milestone in the development of the Nigeria Police Force. Because these are officers, these are men and women who put their life in the line of duty of death, and just to pay that supreme sacrifice. That is not the aim. But if in doing that, they can protect you and I, it's not too much to recognize that day. So setting this, April 7th, as a National Police Day, I think is a big honor to the Nigeria Police Force. And it will boost the morale of officers, because, say, somebody out there recognizes what we do. And I think this is long overdue, because every day you have officers on patrol, officers in their police stations being attacked and killed, and nothing seems to, it's like people don't care. But now, Nigerians, the attention is being drawn to this, that look, you have the police force that, serves you, a police force that requires support and trust, a police force that can manage crime when you become like a volunteer. So I think this aim is to raise volunteers for the Nigeria Police Force, so that you and I can be the ears, the eyes and ears of the police. Because the police cannot be everywhere. And that is why you
said something about trust now, because last week when we had a discussion on the Uromi incident, the issue of trust was actually, emphasized on. How can Nigerian Police Force improve its relationship, especially with the public, particularly in terms of trust?
Yeah, in terms of trust, in terms of accountability, that builds trust in the mind of the public. And in terms of performance, if I make a report to you, if you are investigating a matter, how do you handle it? Can you bring a case to successful conclusion? And then I am satisfied that, look, you are not taking sides and you exhibit that level of professionalism. And I think it's about the transformation that the president is talking about, upgrading equipment, upgrading training, that you can have those men in uniform come to deal with the issues of crime in the way that you don't have to engage in self-help by, engaging in lynching and all the rest of it. That, look, if I bring this. And I think it's about respect for human rights. That because I do not have money, because I do not have I'm not a big person, my rights will not be respected.
Okay.
So building trust is about the way you perform your work, the way you appear impartial in conducting your business, and then the kind of training that you get, the kind of equipment that you use. Of course, technology is a force multiplier. And I think when I come to make a report to you, and you're able to deal with it in the most professional manner, or I make a call to you, and within 3 minutes you get, these guys are doing very well now. Several ways you can build trust.
Many thanks, AIG retired. But you see, listening to you, your first comments talking about the Nigeria Police Day, you were talking about the fact that it will boost the morale of the Nigerian Police Force. And I'm asking, is it about a day, to celebrate the Nigeria Police that would actually boost the morale of the police? Is it not funding? Is it not welfare? Is it not better package in terms of, knowing that if you fall today as a Nigerian policeman, your family will be well taken care of by the Nigerian state and all of that? Isn't that what would actually make the Nigeria Police Force function optimally?
Those are the thematic areas of the National Police Day. And these things occur all the time. But we are saying that mainstreaming, calling attention. Because what you have, everybody now, you watch television, I'm sure there will be live programs, and then you have the police. You have them make different displays. So, and your attention is being brought to it. It's not that on a daily basis, officers engage the public. On a daily basis, officers conduct patrols. Officers interact with the public. Officers engage with the public. But on this special day, they say, look, let us draw attention to it. And so, on this day, our fallen heroes, those, like I say, who put their life. Now, you are saying that they are worth remembering. They are worth setting aside a day to celebrate them. It can't be a better way. And we are not, that does not degrade or whatever. Of course, the facilities are not there. And I think that is why in in approving this day, the president talked about transforming as part of his cardinal programs and upgrading equipment. And we want to see that. We want to see officers having equipment. Right now in the Nigerian police force, it's not equipped. They can't do anything. We are not talking of real equipment. We're talking of even logistics. What vehicles do they have? In a police station, you have about 200 officers. What do you have? 2 vehicles, if you are lucky. In some police divisions, they do not have. And they cannot respond.
So that's my question.
But drawing
really.
this attention.
That's my question actually.
Yes.
This day would just be a day for a pomp and celebration, just a parade and all the show, and maybe nothing really goes into some of these areas, like you've mentioned, that will boost the morale. I'll quickly liken this, for example, to women. I mean, we have so many Women's Day, but yet it doesn't stop Ademola from harassing me on this show. And we keep talking about the issues, but I mean, it still persists. Do you understand? So,
Oh, go ahead.
The issues that we keep talking about when we, for example, it's just an example, all right? When we talk about women and all the issues and everything. But, I mean, all of those challenges remain with us. So I'm saying that, is this a better way to push the narrative? Is this a better way to change the narrative of the Nigeria Police Force, really? Or is it just going to be, just celebration, and then maybe for some people to probably make the corruption that they say is in Nigeria Police Force eat deeper?
Yeah, I think this day, first of all, for not being accused of repetition, what I want you to understand is, setting this date, I think is like an honor, a respect, a recognition. But it also afford the Nigeria Police Force a kind of feedback. I think what you are saying is a feedback to the government.
Exactly.
That look, you have set aside this day, and you are talking of enhancing training, upgrading equipment,
improving the welfare.
You now hold the government. You want to hold the police accountable to their performance. You also hold the government accountable to their pledge that we want to transform the Nigeria Police Force to be a modern professional police force.
But how does this day address the issue of corruption in the Nigeria Police Force?
How does it address the issue of corruption?
Yes,
yeah.
which...
You see, like I said, that it gives us an opportunity for a feedback. And the corruption, the Nigeria Police Force is one organization. First of all, you see them all wherever you go. There are checkpoints, they are on patrols, there are business centers and all of the rest. And so it's easier for the public to see them. And then some of the feedback they get, so we are not satisfied. But I think the Nigeria Police Force is one organization that engage in self-retrospection, self-examination, and they are always dealing with the issues of their erring officers. If you're fund engaged, I am not saying, it doesn't exist. Of course, there are officers who are not living to standard, and there's opportunity to deal with them. But the issue of corruption must be tackled in Nigeria. If you talk, the issue of corruption must not be tolerated, but the issue of pen and corruption, that with my pen, I can write billions.
Anyway,
I'm not saying that, I'm not absolving the Nigeria Police Force of corruption, but the issue of corruption is what all Nigerians must rise up.
Now, you talked about feedback, getting feedback from the public. So, what exactly, if you line up today, are you engaging the public today? How are you engaging the public to get the feedback that you said you need from the public?
Now, the police day, the National Police started with activities on the 2nd of April, and it's climaxing, today. And now you have various police commands, like I think Bauchi Police Command talked about community engagement for crime prevention, intelligence sharing, and I think Sokoto is talking about medical outreach, how to get to the public, to a kind of support. So what is happening today is just the climax. So the various teams, I think various police command, the 36 plus the FCT commands are having various teams in terms of strengthening police-community relations, in terms of cross-border issues, in terms of recognition of police sacrifices and all that. So all this is meant to do. And now the professionalism, what is going to be showcased at the Eagle Square? You look at the various police performances, you look at some of the few equipment they have on display, and all this is to instill confidence on the mind of the public that they have a police force.
I want to find out, what's your thoughts on the state police issue?
Unfortunately, I mean, my thought may not align with yours.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, your thought,
first of
your
all,
view.
There is nothing wrong in bringing police service closer to the public. But in terms of state police, there is nothing wrong with it. But today, let us not go there yet.
Why?
One, the parent body, the Nigeria police that we have we done enough to support it? If you have a sick mother give birth to a child, chances are that the child may not be very healthy. And here is a police force that do not have equipment, poorly remunerated, the welfare in terms of residential and office accommodation. Even today, many police forces, police commands do not have command headquarters. The FCT Police Command, for that matter, they are living in a residential building bequeathed to them by the CBN or FCDA. That is not. So when you are having a police, you have not really set up a standard. Because if you are going to roll out to the states and local government, you should have a police force. That, look, now we have a police force that is truly very, very professional. And now we can think of, okay, let's begin to think of community policing. And what people don't want to hear is, we are a country that is managing our unity in diversity. And you have a situation whereby a lot of, unfortunately, political leaders do not understand their responsibility. If they do, it's easy to say, okay, let's have state police. The issues that led to fusing the local government and provincial police forces to become the Nigeria Police Force, those issues have even multiplied the misuse of the police. And we are not saying the federal police cannot be misused, but you have a situation that people can express their opinion. But if you go to the state, you need to go and, if you're in Abuja here, you are enjoying. But if you go to the states and you see the activities of some state executives, it's
you talk about professionalism of the police. How do you enhance the professionalism?
Professionalism, first of all, accountability. If the police is organized in such a way that it is accountable, proper training is given, equipment is given, you have a professional police force. Now, let's talk about forensic. When you develop the forensics of the Nigeria Police Force, it makes them professional. They should be able to go to this place, process the scene of crime, and be able to have an idea to get clues that will aid them in dealing with the issues of crime. So training is part of it. And when you have a trained police force, well-equipped police force, it's easy to talk about professionalism.
All right, many thanks, AIG retired. We need to go, but on the state police, I think I liked your analogy of a sick mother may not necessarily give birth to a healthy child. Very, fine comment there. But as we round off the conversation, we're out of time. Quickly give us the significance of this day to the average Nigerian policeman, and as a retired policeman, where would you like to see the Nigerian police, say in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
No, first of all, I want to see a police force that is truly professional, impartial, that officers can hold their head. Officers can conduct investigation without being afraid of any person. That is, if a minister of government is involved, and the matter is being investigated, you investigate impartially and professionally without looking to the left or looking to the right. I'm looking for a Nigeria police force that I see them on the street, properly dressed, good vehicles, neat, and then having the trust, the support, and confidence on the public. A police force that is able to mobilize the entire citizenry to support them. A police force that will be able to deal with the issues of insurrection without much support from the military.
And that's where we can truly say police is your friend.
Of course, the police is...
the police is always your friend.
The police, and the police, if the police is not your friend, they are conducting medical outreaches, giving
they are carrying
free
brooms and sweeping the streets.
And you know, it's all about encouraging civic responsibility. It's all about bringing you and I to say, look, we are in the same team. We wear the uniform, but you are part of the volunteers that will deal with it, that will make Nigeria to be crime-free.
Thank you very
Fantastic.
much.
Many thanks. Yeah.
Thank
By the
you.
way, you look very good and set for this day.
Yeah. So
I'm sure Ademola will join you.
To the Nigeria Police Force, even retired officers, you have to congratulate us for this.
Okay.
Of course.
We are very happy.
Thank you very much. Yeah, IG Wilson in Alego retired. It was a pleasure to have you. And of course, we wish you the very best. And every other Nigerian police man out there, those 7, those retired, and of course the families of fallen heroes. We wish them a very successful celebration, and we hope that the Nigeria Police would actually be a better force. So that's Good Morning Nigeria this Monday. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure doing this with Ademola. Did you enjoy yourself?
Thank you. I did.
All right. I'm Ian Ray John.
And I'm Ademola Ade. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow again for another interesting episode. Have a lovely day.